Okay, we're going to begin today by looking at several websites, and we're going to see things that are in common, things that make them easy to navigate, etc. First, the website we're looking at is the American Red Cross. You go to it, and immediately at the top you see an About Us, Contact, Governance, Resources, etc. So if you wanted information, you would click on the About Us section. When you get to that page, you see there are additional links on the left side about local chapters, and supporters, and careers with them. And they have general information presented in the middle of the page. So if you want to go back to the main page, you click on American Red Cross in the top left corner. Very easy to navigate website, very simple layout. Should be very used to websites like this because this is about the cleanest kind of layout that an organization will have. The next website we look at is the website for CNN News Network. Now the purpose of this is different than the Red Cross. The Red Cross, there's specific information you need. There are people that you need to get in contact with, local chapters. This is a news website, so if you look on this one, much more complicated layout. Links at the top are related to different news stories and different news items. If you actually scroll down through the page, you see there are links to top news stories, to popular news stories, latest news stories. And if you're actually looking for information about the company, you're going to have to do a little bit of browsing. Actually, if you go down to the bottom, you'll see an About Us at the very bottom. So unlike the Red Cross, a service organization that you'll need to know, very likely to need to know background information about, CNN's put it at the bottom. And theirs is pretty simple. It doesn't contain nearly as much history as the Red Cross does. Okay, the American Cancer Society's website should be very similar to the Red Cross, or at least I would think it would be similar to the Red Cross. It's actually a little bit different. There's still navigation across the top, but there's not an About Us. There's an In My Community, How to Get Involved, Donate Now, and Contact Us. What they also have is a site index, and a lot of sites have these, and this one's prominently displayed, and if you click on that, it has information for the specific areas that people would be interested in, and then if you go down to the bottom you see more links. And then as always on these types of websites, the top left corner there's a little logo that says American Cancer Society. That's an easy way to navigate back to the main page. Okay, and then the last page we're going to look at is Western Kentucky University. Page layout is very similar to a lot of college pages. They're all starting to look the same. There's links for future students, for current students. There's information for faculty and staff, alums, parents, visitors. And there's a search box right next to that. And then going down the left-hand side, it's not really a repeat of the information above. It's a little more specific. Academics, admissions, athletics, a calendar. And you can scroll down through there and see all kinds of information about that. College websites tend to be a little bit harder to find information about the school's history and information about the school and in the history aspect more than a lot of other organizations, because that's maybe not as relevant to a student who's pursuing a degree there or a parent who's interested in their kid. That stuff falls under the alumni section a lot of times. So what's important to know as you look through these pages is that each website is a little bit different, but there are common navigation elements to all of them. All of them have a logo at the top left corner of the page that links you back to the main page or the index page. They all have links to specific areas along the top or along the left side, or in most cases both. This is how a lot of informational websites are. They all lay themselves out similar to each other because that's just kind of the trend that they've all gone to, and they've tried to make themselves more like each other so that there's more functionality, so that people will take their website a little more seriously and people are put some more credibility into their organization. As you're developing your website, you need to be mindful of these things. You need to look at the elements that you need. You need to make it functional, and as we've been talking about, aesthetics is not the most important part of this. If you look at the American Red Cross's website, for instance, it's got a pretty clean layout, it's pretty simple, there's not a whole lot of the design that's real attractive. What they do instead is the graphics and the pictures, and that's where the aesthetics come in. That's what's more attractive on that website. CNN, again, very basic, very information driven, word driven. There's some pictures along with some of the headlines and pictures of video links, and that's where a lot of the aesthetic comes in more than the website layout. The layout's the functional part. The American Cancer Society, same thing. It's very, very information driven, very functional as well. Of these 4 websites, Western Kentucky University stands out the most to me as being concerned with aesthetics. The colors are obviously meant to reflect the school colors. There are various texts on the page. There are logos and there are pictures, and it's all incorporated into the elements of the page. It doesn't make the navigating any harder, but they were definitely a lot more concerned about the attractiveness of the page, probably as a promotion for their college. So it's a little bit different than those other websites because there's still the functionality and the aesthetics both go into. It's not to say that the website's less functional, it's just that somebody has put more attention into this. So as you're finishing up your projects, you need to look through these different websites, figure out what elements they have that work, figure out what element the website that you're creating needs, and try to combine the best and the worst aspects of both. Try to leave out the worst, but definitely try to find the best aspects and incorporate them into your page.